Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, brothers? It's the director. Chargers fans, well, we got, honestly, I would say a highly requested video coming in today. Every single week, I get asked about free agency, what the Chargers are doing in 2022, and what names in particular the Chargers should go after in free agency next year. Now, I know we're still in the middle of the season. It's November, director, but I figure I'd knock out a lot of these questions up front in one video, in one mega video. Should be a good time. Now, a big reason for this, guys, a big reason for this video, a big thing that I've been talking a lot about during my streams is that 2020 is gonna be the year. Herbert's contract is coming up in 2024. Super Bowl window is here and now. This would be, next season would be the 3rd year for Justin Herbert, 2nd year for new head coach Brandon Staley. The Chargers at this point in time, dudes, you won't even believe this, they command $78 million per spot rack in 2022, which is the 2nd most in the NFL. I feel like this is the time, man. Chargers fans, I don't know the last time that we experienced the team going all in, but it's time to go all in, similar to how the Rams did, or what the Rams did in their Super Bowl run. So it's going to be a big video today, guys. I did a lot of research. We got a lot of names that we're going to go over. Should be a good time. Before we do get started, question for everybody in the comments. You can answer it after the video if you wish. If you could choose only one player to add next year, who would it be and why? Should be a fun one today, guys. Before we do get started, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let us get into this one. Lights, camera, action. The 2022 NFL free agency, way too early preview. Let's jump right into this one, guys. Now, we're going to do this by position. Now, I think this will give us a good idea of what the Chargers need and so on. So let's start here with quarterback. Very simple first position for us here. We got Justin Herbert. We got 2 backups in Stick and Daniel. I don't think there's any need for the Chargers to be looking for another backup quarterback at this point. So it pretty much covers that. A fast one, but I promise you guys a lot of names coming up here in just a second. Next up, running back. Now, we have Austin Eckler, who should remain our running back 1. I'm going to stand firm on that. I think he's an excellent, excellent piece of this offense that needs to remain featured. But adding a power back is a good idea. Larry Roundtree should have his role as running back 3, but Justin Jackson is a free agent, and Kelly might not actually make the team. It might open up a space for the Chargers on their roster to go pick up a running back. So with each of these positions, I'm going to highlight, I say, like maybe 3 players, and you guys can let me know which one you like the most. And if I miss a name that you would like the Chargers to consider, please put it in the comment section below. So in regards of running back, at number 3, we're going to go from 3 to 1. At number 3 for me is going to be Leonard Fournette. Now, this would be a move where the Chargers are truly committing to a true 1-2 punch at the running back position, because Fournette could certainly be featured as an early down back, leaving all of the passing work and stuff like that to Austin Eckler. The downside is he's probably going to cost somewhere in the realm of $9 million. But let's be honest here. This is Leonard Fournette that we're talking about. Sure, he didn't have the best career in Jacksonville, but it really has resurged in Tampa Bay. Do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers keep him? We don't know. If he's available on the market, is this somebody you want the Chargers to go after? And just as a disclaimer, fellas, okay, way too early look. There might be, if you're watching this in the future, maybe a ton of these guys have been re-signed. Who knows? Maybe the teams, there's no way in heck that they're going to release them. These are just the top names that I picked up off of the 2022 free agent list, okay? Next up at running back, we got, honestly, a familiar face to Chargers fans in Kailyn Bellage. Hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And Kailyn Bellage did a really good job for the Chargers last season in rotation with Austin Eckler. He would be super cheap, borderline free, when you got $78 million to spend, and a reunion might be attractive to both parties. Of course, Kailyn Bellage not really used much in Pittsburgh, as they've got Najee Harris out there that really is an all, he can do it all kind of running back. He's the featured, weapon in that offense. Kailyn Bellage not really used too often. I think he would be a great complement to this team, more use for him, more snaps for him on this particular squad. At 6'2", 231 pounds, I think he's a beast running back that helps the Chargers in an area where they do need it. So Kailyn Bellage, I'd be wide open to a reunion. And finally, at my number 1 spot, the guy I hope the Chargers sign if they do go after a running back, his name is Alex Collins. Now, Alex Collins, if you guys watch the preseason with me, you'll understand that he absolutely tore us up. He's a great running back, but he's in a pretty, deep position as far as the Seattle Seahawks with Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. I don't know, if all 3 of those guys are going to be on the roster next season. Certainly, I think Alex Collins would be the man out, but he's a ground and pounder. He'd only cost around $1 million annually, and he'd be a great rotational piece with Austin Eckler in this offense. And honestly, the reason I like this signing so much is because it keeps Austin Eckler at the running back 1 position, but we do have that big guy in there that can come in on short yardage situations and help the Chargers out for that specific role. So it really does help maintain the identity of this offense with Austin Eckler, but gives us that weapon, that backup that's more than capable of picking up short yardage. I like the thought a lot of it. He'd be very cheap. I think it's a good move for the Chargers. All right, fellas, that was running back. How far are we into the video? It's going to be a long one today. Next up, let's talk about wide receiver. Now, this is going to be a tricky one with Jalen Guyton being a free agent this season. Do the Chargers bring him back? I don't know. Do the Chargers re-sign Mike Williams, who likely costs around $15 million annually? I believe we should, and that we will. But we'll throw a bonus player or 2 in there at the end just in case I'm wrong. But I'm all about bringing back Mike Williams next season. I think he's an integral part of this offense and one that should remain on the team. So first up, if Mike Williams stays, here are 3 options I think the Chargers should add to the roster. First up, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, man, if he couldn't do it with Aaron Rodgers, he can't do it with anybody. Well, he's not going to be asked to be the Chargers wide receiver 1. Again, in this scenario, we've got Keenan Allen, we got Mike Williams, we even got Josh Palmer out there too, who should be developing in his second year, after this season. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, to me, he would be that complementary piece at speed receiver, the burner out there, the guy that helps the Chargers get defenses to back off and really utilize Justin Herbert's big arm. This man ran a 4.37, and he does come with more than just speed. 6'4" frame, offers red zone playability as well. I think he kind of fits what the Chargers are trying to do. He should be dirt cheap, and I think honestly, if anything, he'd be offering the Chargers a solid speed option, let's say behind Josh Palmer in 2022. Next up at number 2, Will Fuller. Really, Will Fuller had to make this list. With what the Chargers need specifically from the wide receiver position, Will Fuller, to me, is just the best speed receiver on the market, in my humble opinion. And honestly, his price tag would probably reflect that, being a little bit more expensive, but still very fast. Ran a 4.32. Chargers need speed. Again, he might be a little bit more expensive, around $9 or $8 million annually. He does have his injury concerns, but when you're looking for the best of the best at a position that you need as far as speed, the kind of attributes that he can contribute, I think Will Fuller is among the best and should be considered the number 1 option if the Chargers are really going all in. Finally, at the number 1 spot for me, the number 1 wide receiver I think the Chargers should go after in 2022, Damiere Byrd. Who? Well, that's kind of what this segment represents right here. This number 1 spot represents is the names you've never heard of. We just need speed. So I decided to pick a name out of the hat. Damiere Byrd, very nasty when it comes to speed. Ran a 4.28. He would be dirt cheap, under $1 million annually likely, and it lets Keenan, Mike, and Palmer stay featured as the number 1, 2, and 3 wide receivers while throwing him in there without committing a lot of cap space. He offers insane speed for Justin Herbert, and again, this kind of represents insert name here. The Chargers, have been really good at picking up no names and making them into superstars. At this point at the wide receiver position, I'm just looking for somebody that can stretch the field, that possesses the speed to really get defenses to back off, because maybe Jalen Guyton doesn't come back. Even if he does, I think the Chargers would benefit from adding another one, because that 1-2 punch of Guyton and Johnson last season was very effective. I'd like to get something of a semblance back of that. So Damiere Byrd or insert name here is my number 1, because I don't think the Chargers wide receiver room is that bad at all. If they lose Mike Williams, that's a different story. And speaking of which, if they do lose Mike Williams, here comes your bonus wide receivers, your bonus players in this category. Starting here with Michael Gallup. I honestly considered Michael Gallup as my number one. Heck, he might even be considered my number one here. We'll call him 1B and 1A coming up here in just a second, okay? So 1B and Michael Gallup, hugely talented wide receiver in an overcrowded wide receiver room in Dallas. He would be absolutely insane, man. I love Michael Gallup. Huge playmaker. I would see a steal to any team that decides to pick him up and try and feature him as a true wide receiver, too, or even one I think he's capable of. He likely costs under $10 million annually. He'd be a solid replacement if we had to give up Mike Williams, which, again, I hope we don't. But if we do, Michael Gallup's my 1B, okay? And then finally, the 1A. You guys, you didn't think we were going to get out of the wide receiver category without talking a little bit Davante Adams, right? We've talked your ear off about Davante Adams. Dudes, he's talked about wanting to play with Keenan Allen. He would be with another awesome quarterback in Justin Herbert. He would instantly insert as like the 1A, 1B wide receiver, even 1C with Mike Williams if they decided to keep him too, which would be absolutely insane. Still, in this scenario, no Mike Williams. We got Davante Adams, Keenan Allen, and Josh Palmer at the wide receiver position. I think it would be pretty nasty. The only thing is he'll cost a lot, like $20 million annually. He's got an injury history, but in the end, it's worth it. Okay, Davante and Keenan Allen would be borderline unfair. If you guys want to hear more about how he would complement the team, check out one of my older videos where we talk about Davante Adams possibly coming to the Chargers. That's definitely your number one guy. And again, he's 29 years old. Maybe the longevity, isn't there, but the Chargers are really looking for a window within the next 2 or 3 seasons of making a Super Bowl. So that's all we would really need him for is 2 or 3 years. Now, note, if the Chargers do re-sign Mike Williams, I'd consider targeting one of the fastest wide receivers in the draft to complement Josh Palmer, because young speed is very valuable, okay? So we can sign one of these guys, or we can simply draft a fast wide receiver to complement Palmer and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. That's kind of the route that I would go. All right, next up, let's talk a little bit about the big boys, the tight ends. With Donald Parham and Jared Cook on a contract year, the Bolts need an answer at tight end, and I think I got a couple of solid options, young options, that would offer the Chargers a lot of talent, not for just this season, but very many seasons to come, that would complement very well with Justin Herbert. Let's start off here at my number 3 spot. O.J. Howard, 26 years old. He hasn't been featured with Gronk and Cameron Brate on the team in a long time. When he was drafted, there were hopes that he was going to be a generational talent. The guy's an absolute freak of nature athletically for his position. He's insanely talented, huge speed. Imagining him paired with Justin Herbert, he'd just be explosive. I think that the untapped potential of O.J. Howard is something the Chargers should definitely take a chance on. And again, tight ends take a little while to develop, sometimes not until, their mid to late 20s. And O.J. Howard may be trying to figure things out along the way. Maybe he's had time to get ready for a breakout. Who knows? But still, O.J. Howard would offer a lot of upside if the Chargers decide to sign him as their tight end 1. Next up at number 2, you can't talk about O.J. Howard without talking about David Njoku as well. David Njoku, man, I've been a huge fan of him since he got drafted by the Browns. And just like O.J. Howard, he's been playing second fiddle to Austin Hooper, even Harrison Bryant, who decided to add as well. I don't like that. I think if you got David Njoku, you got to feature him. He's an awesome weapon for any offense. Insanely talented, huge speed. And again, when paired with a guy like Justin Herbert, just like O.J. Howard, he could be explosive. So if you're really looking to revamp that tight end 1 position from an outside source, these are the 2 top options for me. Now, my number 1 option here, the number 1 tight end I think the Chargers should walk into in the 2022 season as their featured tight end, their featured weapon at the position, is going to be Donald Parham. Okay? Now, Donald Parham, like I said before, is a free agent after this season unless the Chargers decide to extend him a little early. Parham has really impressed me with every single opportunity that he's been given. You guys take a look at all of his receptions. High skill. I don't know, man. He comes up with insane catches. He's got moves. He's got this signature stutter step backwards and then backward to forward. He's just really good. He's really, really good. And every time I see him get the ball, I think to myself, Chargers, let's make this guy the featured tight end, man. He's 6'8". That frame is especially rare with his speed. Very, very fast. I don't know. Can you think of any other undrafted former basketball player that was really good at the tight end position, Chargers fans? I don't know. I just got a feeling about Donald Parham, man. I firmly believe he's ready to be our tight end one. And, you know, as cool as it would be to have David Njoku or O.J. Howard, I think we got our man already. I think we got our man in Donald Parham. We should stick with him, give him extension, and give him the tight end one role next season. Just see how he does. I think he's really proven to me, at least through my own eyes, that he's capable of it, more than capable of it, and he would create some insane mismatches, man. Just look at how big this human being is, dude. He would offer a lot of versatility for the Chargers and in creating mismatches. I love it. I love it immensely. Okay? Next up, let's talk about the offensive line. This is kind of a big one. The Chargers definitely did a lot of work this offseason to revamp that offensive line. And although they've been really, really good, they lost Brian Bulaga early to injury, as well as Oday Abushi. I don't think Bulaga returns after this season just because of his injury concern. Oday Abushi, I would definitely consider giving an extension to. Even with the injury this season, he showed to be a very capable guard for the Chargers, so I would consider re-signing him. If the Chargers decide to sign an outside source, these are the top three options I think they should go after, because I do think you can draft an offensive lineman, but I think at this point the Chargers should add a proven vet with the kind of window that they're working with. But still, I wouldn't rule out drafting, you know, a young rookie with high upside. At number 3, we're going to talk a little bit about Jermaina Fetty. He is a tackle / guard for the Chicago Bears, 27 years old, so decently young for the position. I don't know, man. I think that he's above average. I would say definitely above average, not overly expensive, maybe likely around $4.5 million a season. And he's very proven. He can play tackle or guard, like I said before, so that versatility certainly valuable to any team. And honestly, I would feel a lot more comfortable, even at this point, with Jermaina Fetty over Brian Bulaga, just because I've seen more. He stayed on the field longer, and he offers a little bit of versatility. So I like Jermaina Fetty a lot. He's going to be my number 3 option. Really tough to find offensive linemen in the free agency pool, guys, just to let you know. So don't expect anything too crazy if it's anything other than these next 2 guys, okay? Next up, we got Mitchell Schwartz, 32 years old, so he's a little long in the tooth. And if not for his injury history, he'd be my number 1 choice by a wide margin. This is one of the best offensive linemen in football. He really was playing at a super high level before his injury, took the entire 2021 season off. If healthy, if he decides to come back to the game, he would be a massive upgrade over Bulaga. And of course, though, this is all contingent on him staying on the field. If he gets hurt, then it's the Brian Bulaga story all over again. We're back where we started. But if we feel like he's going to be able to stay on the field for the majority of the season, I say he's absolutely worth the risk. He's going to be a high price tag player, but certainly one that's going to hold down the right side of that line, make you feel real comfortable if your name is Justin Herbert. Okay? And at my number 1 spot for the tackle position, the right tackle position, is Trent Brown. Found huge success in New England, you know, after being released by the Raiders, or traded, I believe. I don't remember. Will he even be available? I don't know. If I'm the Patriots, I don't let this man out of the building without a new contract, because he is young. 28 years old. His extension would likely cost in the realm of around $9 million a season, but he offers longevity at the position, something that honestly is very, very valuable. He could definitely play for another 4 to 6 seasons, in my opinion. And he's 6'8". He's huge. He's definitely the kind of lineman that would pair very well with Justin Herbert. Line of sight is very important. I don't know if you guys know this. At the quarterback position, being able to see over your guys is very important. And if you got a 6'8" guy out there that's really blocking everything down, he's going to be hunched down, you know, in his position. I think it's just an awesome way to compliment Justin. So I don't know, man. I like it a lot. Trent Brown, 28 years old. He would definitely offer a lot of upside for the Chargers. All right, next up, guys. This is a big one, too. This is one I think that's flying under the radar a little bit, just because the Chargers do have some pretty big needs. But this is one I definitely hope the Chargers address this offseason. Let's talk a little bit about edge. Joey Bosa has struggled all season long because he needs help. It's literally a no-brainer decision for teams at this point to double and triple team Joey Bosa, because the Chargers just really haven't offered him a lot of help on the opposite side of the line. Edge should be a big priority for the team in 2022, and I got a couple options to help smooth this out. Maybe help Joey Bosa get free this season. Let's start with a name that we talked a lot about this last offseason. I know you guys know the name, Jadavian Clowney, 28 years old, recently signed by the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, Clowney, yeah, okay, we can all admit he's not the Clowney that we thought we were going to get in the NFL via the Houston Texans. A lot of potential. Everyone said he was going to be the next superstar at the position. And honestly, he was okay. He was okay. I think that's all right, honestly. If you're the Chargers looking for a complimentary piece, I think all right is okay. I think all right is okay. And I think Jadavian Clowney's finding a lot more success this season because he is playing opposite of another really, really good pass rusher in Myles Garrett, who you see here on the photo. Man, dudes, these two, this duo just causes so much havoc. And honestly, the Chargers would be able to offer something semi-similar with Joey Bosa on the opposite side. Honestly, just having that caliber of talent on each side of the line is very valuable. I think Jadavian Clowney, to me at least, passes the eye test in 2021 with the Cleveland Browns. If he becomes available, you have to at least consider it if you're the Chargers, okay? Next up at number 2, we got Chandler Jones, 31 years old, again a little bit older, but I do think he's got 2-3 years left at a high caliber, playing at a high caliber. And this dude is one of the best, man. He had one crazy game a couple of weeks back, something like 5 sacks, absolutely ridiculous. And I do think that he's still playing at a high enough level where he should be a pretty high priority free agent ad for any team. The Chargers would be so wise, man. I feel like Chandler Jones really fits the scheme that Brandon Staley's trying to lay down. He possesses the individual skill set to really help on the opposite side of the line, free Joey Bosa, and offer a lot of pressure coming from his side as well. Chandler Jones would be an awesome option for any team, and in particular the Chargers. I'd be very happy if they picked him up this offseason. Lastly, at number 1, 27 years old, coming in from the Carolina Panthers, Hasten Reddick. Now, again, Hasten Reddick, I would say, honestly, I see Hasten Reddick and Chandler Jones, very, very talented football players, and I do think they could cause a lot of havoc. Hasten Reddick, by the way, I think ex-Cardinal, which is why I say that. Hasten Reddick's only 27 years old, so again, longevity at the position. Him and Joey Bosa honestly could play together for quite a few seasons, and I do think that he offers a lot of versatility. He's faster than what you would think an edge position player would be, and honestly, I like Hasten Reddick a lot. I think this would be a great move for the Chargers that does offer longevity, that does offer a lot of help for Joey Bosa and creating pressure. Brandon Staley is starting to understand his defense with the pieces that he has right now in 2021. He's going to be very well equipped to kind of go out there and find players that complement his scheme in 2022. That's just going to make this defense that much better. And again, with $78 million, Hasten Reddick, a 4-year contract, I'd be totally okay with that, man. All right, next up, this position, man. I know this video is getting a little long, but there's a lot of players to talk about. Let's talk about defensive tackle. This is one that I get asked about pretty much weekly, daily almost, about what the Chargers should do at the defensive tackle position. And this should be one of the biggest priorities of the team this offseason. Note that Linval Joseph is on a contract year. And at this point, I hope that we resign him. I certainly think that he's proven that he has a lot left in the tank, and he's been one of the biggest difference makers for the Chargers at the defensive line. If the Chargers elect not to resign him, they need to make some big moves in 2022 to replace his production, okay? So let's start here at my number 3 spot, my number 3 pick, Sebastian Joseph Day. Who? Again, this is one of those, the number 3 spot here represents a name you've never heard of. But Sebastian Joseph Day, I think he's been having a pretty good season with the Los Angeles Rams. If you're a Rams fan, you definitely know who this guy is. He's a big dude, 6'4", 310 pounds, young and familiar with Staley's scheme. If we keep Linval Joseph, this is the kind of signing that I would love to see. Because, dude, he's a perfect complement. I think him and Linval Joseph at the center of the line would offer a lot of help to the Chargers in the run defense department, which they desperately need help in right now. And he shouldn't be too expensive if we're being quite honest, too. So if we keep Linval Joseph, this is a perfect signing in my opinion. You could even insert name here. The Chargers really good at finding, talent on the down low, talent that's not, on the surface, and making them into superstars. I do think they could find somebody at the defensive tackle position, and I'm going to use Sebastian Joseph Day in this example, who honestly I'd be pretty stoked if they decided to go after. At number 2, Brandon Williams, the big man, 32 years old. Again, a little long in the tooth, but I think he can play another 2 to 3 seasons, which 2 to 3 seasons is kind of the formula right now. Chargers are in this window. We only really need them for a short period of time. Honestly, this would be a very similar signing to Linval. I can't even imagine if the Chargers re-signed Linval and then signed Brandon Williams as well. That middle of the line would be absolutely set, dude. Very similar signing to Linval. He offers a lot of the same stuff. He's huge. 335 pounds, more than capable of picking up where Linval left off if they decided to let him go. Definitely talented in stopping the run. One of the best guys at stopping the run in the NFL as far as defensive tackle is concerned. This would be a huge signing, and one that, honestly, if we're going all in, keep Linval, bring in Brandon Williams. The Chargers' defensive line problems are gone. They're over, man. That would be such a nasty interior right there for the Chargers defense. Lastly, at number 1, again, these are names that we talk about a lot because there's connections, and it would be an awesome signing that makes sense for the Chargers. Akeem Hicks. Dominant presence, man. Familiar with Brandon Staley's scheme as well. The Chargers inquired about a trade for him this offseason. This would be such a solid signing, man. I watched him versus, what was it, the Steelers a couple of days ago. Najee Harris is a really good running back, man. I knew he would be. And Akeem Hicks was consistently getting in there for tackles for loss, and absolutely insane the kind of talent he has. 31 years old, so he does have a few years left where I do think he remains relevant. Might be a little pricey, somewhere around $12 million per season, but he would be worth it. He's a monster versus the run. And again, I can't stop daydreaming about it. If the Chargers pick up Akeem, I think they likely do give up Linval Joseph, which would suck, but I want to live in a world where Linval and Akeem Hicks are on the same team, and guys just can't run on us. That's literally what it would come down to. Teams would not be able to run on us very well with those two guys up front. So I like it. The Chargers need a plan in the trenches, and these are some of the guys I really do think could make a huge difference. Next up, next position, linebacker. I know Chargers fans this season got a little bit worried with the injury to Kenneth Murray. We had Drew Tranquill down for a while. Kaiser White, who is a free agent this season, needs to be a priority signing, in my opinion. He's been absolute freak of nature out there. And I don't know. I just, at this point, I think the Chargers linebacker core in that position is good. If they sign anyone else, I think it would likely be for depth. But you're talking, your cup runneth over a little bit at linebacker with Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquill, and Kaiser White. You got guys like Nick Neiman and Ogbonk Bemiga in there too. I think linebacker, as long as they stay healthy, it's fine at this point. So we're just going to move on to the next position here. Cornerback. The Chargers need help at this position, man. Mike Davis is a good cornerback, too. He's going to be on the team for a few more seasons. Asante Samuel Jr. could definitely develop into a brand new cornerback 1, but the Chargers need depth and a starter at cornerback 3 or even 1, depending on what they want to do with Asante Samuel Jr. At this moment in time, Chris Harris Jr., he has not been looking very good. Actually, we'll come over here for he's not looked good. Chris Harris Jr. has not looked good the last couple of games. I don't think he returns with the team next season. So this could be a position the Chargers go big on in order to make Staley's defensive scheme that much deadlier, okay? So I would not be surprised if the Chargers went after a big name free agent at the cornerback position because of the situation we're in and needing depth, needing starters, and honestly, I don't know if we have the time to develop another cornerback unless it's a true first rounder. So at number 3, you guys see Kyle Fuller here on the screen, 29 years old. Again, I get a little weary of signing corners, close to the age of 30 because, again, Chris Harris Jr., when we signed him, oh my God, so excited. He was so good. And he fell off really, really fast. So I would be hesitant a little bit about Kyle Fuller, but still, he's a very talented player, one that I think would definitely benefit the team right now if he continues playing as good as he has been. After missing him this offseason, the Chargers might get another crack at it. I know that they were inquiring about it, so maybe there is some interest there. Very familiar with Brandon Staley. I think he would be great for another 2 or 3 seasons. And then after that, we can start looking for his replacement. But definitely not a bad idea for 2022. At number 2, we got Carlton Davis. To the Tampa Bay Buccaneers let him go. I don't know if they have the money to keep him is the big thing for them. They have so many stars out there. They really went all in for another Super Bowl run this season, which we don't know if they're going to make or not. I don't know, man. I see a young, fast player with plenty of upside. He's not the best corner in the world, but I would compare him a little bit to Mike Davis. I think having, another guy like that out there on the field is definitely advantageous. He's young, 24 years old, again, offers longevity. I feel like he would fit alongside Mike Davis very well. And he showed a lot of promise in Tampa Bay. At some games he was like, holy cow, so good. So if Carlton Davis hits the open market, he's probably going to be a little pricey, but at the same time, if you're going all in Chargers, this is definitely a really good signing. Now, at number one, the number one cornerback I want the Chargers to chase this offseason, can you guys guess? His name is J.C. Jackson, coming out of New England. Jackson is a pick machine. Plays primarily out of the slot, which is definitely okay, but he's a huge playmaker. I think he has the most interceptions since 2018 in the NFL right now. This would be the Chargers' best slot corner since Desmond King. Honestly, better than Desmond, if we're being brutally honest. He would be one heck of a signing. Then all of a sudden, you're looking at as follows: Asante Samuel at 1, Davis at 2, and then Jackson in the slot. That would be one mean defensive back core if the Chargers decide to go after J.C. Jackson. I love the talent. He's young, only 25 years old. This would be a signing that makes me super excited, okay? Next up, we're almost there, guys. I know this is going to be like a 30-minute video. We're almost there. At the safety position, Nasir Adderley, in my opinion, has been serviceable, but perhaps the Chargers are looking to upgrade as they further commit to their too high safety look, okay? And if you're going to continue to do that, you want guys that can definitely execute at a high level. So first off, at number 3, we got Adrian Phillips. You guys know who he is, okay? Was it Los Angeles? I think he was with the San Diego Chargers too. San Diego Charger. He kind of whooped the Chargers a couple of weeks ago versus the New England Patriots. Very talented player. A bad cut by the Chargers. Bad move by the team. We can make it right. Let's bring him back, man. I think he's an immediate upgrade over Nasir Adderley if need be. Nasir would learn a lot from this guy, and he would offer huge upside and playmaking ability from the safety position if the Chargers are looking for that, okay? So Adrian Phillips, I wouldn't hate a reunion there. Next up at number 2 is Tyron Matthew, the Honey Badger. Man, you guys remember Honey Badger was just so good. Houston Texans, but this guy was so good, dude. So good. Or Arizona Cardinals, I should say. But a big question I keep getting asked is he still good? Kansas City Chiefs have not looked very good this season. Is Tyron Matthew part of the problem? He is 29 years old. Could he start, maybe starting to slow down in his career a little bit? I don't think so. I think he's still very, very good. A true difference maker at the position. The Chiefs have so many other problems outside of safety. I don't think Tyron Matthew is one of them. And I do think he would offer a lot of playmakability for the Chargers in their secondary. 2 to 3 year contract works great for the Chargers. It would fit, I would say, the time where Tyron Matthew is still going to be very viable. And it would be a great deal for the Chargers to bring him in the Super Bowl window. So Tyron Matthew, I'd be all about it. I was super upset when we decided not to go after him in free agency a couple of years ago. Of course, he goes to our division rival. Let's make it right and bring him to Los Angeles. And lastly, guys, the number 1 safety I think the Chargers should consider bringing in if they do want an upgrade at that position is going to be Marcus Williams. You guys will notice I didn't list any strong safeties because we're completely fine with Derwin James. We're talking free safeties here. Marcus Williams, insert Minnesota Miracle joke here. I know. We all know what Marcus Williams is famous for. I don't care. I think this has been one heck of a player in the NFL for quite a few years now, or a couple of years now, only 25 years old. He's very good, man. He's among the best in the league, in my opinion. And he's at a young age, he'd be a huge signing for the Chargers. Honestly, huge signing. New Orleans may not be able to afford him to keep him because, honestly, they're just in cap space hell at the moment. And if the Chargers decide to pursue him, it would make a lot of sense to me. Again, the Chargers really committing to limiting big plays at the too high safety look. They got to commit in the trenches, and they got to commit at defensive back, if I'm being quite honest. The only position I'm like, okay, well, maybe we need an edge rusher, maybe a linebacker, but you definitely need trench players, and you definitely need, I think, one upgrade at least at the cornerback or defensive back position. Marcus Williams, he's definitely the kind of guy that can go out there in Staley's system and make the most of it and make a lot of plays and make that defense really click. So I like Marcus Williams. Again, 25 years old. He could be on the team for the next 5-6 seasons and be a big difference maker for the Chargers. Now, lastly, to round out this, what are we at, like 35-minute video at this point? Lastly, to round out this video, we're going to talk a little bit about special teams here. I think the Chargers may have found something special in Andre Roberts. Maybe they do decide to go after another kick returner. You guys let me know if you have any in mind. But to me, we're looking at kicker and punter. The punter situation, I think Ty Long is absolutely fine. And we do have Hopkins on the roster at kicker right now. Jury's still out on him. He could definitely prove himself and get an extension by year's end. But if not, here are some of the top kickers that we could consider. Randy Bullock, 31 years old, with the Houston Texans currently. He's fine. He's good, okay? And none of these names are really going to blow you away. Daniel Carlson of the Vegas Raiders, I think he gets an extension. He's been really, really good. Only 26 years old. He'd be a fine signing. And then lastly, at the number 1 position, we got Younghoe Koo. Again, a lot of reunions in the 2022 projections for the Chargers, at least in my video, right? Younghoe Koo, we were idiots for dropping him. I'm sorry. We definitely were. He goes on to be one of the best kickers in the league. The Falcons, again, another team that's going through a lot of cap complications. They might let him go. And if he hits the open market, I would say swallow your pride, Chargers, and bring this man back to Los Angeles. He needs to be back on the Chargers if he hits the open market. And the Chargers, kicking situation would be absolutely firm for very many years. But if I were a betting man, I would say definitely, Hopkins has a really good chance at earning a permanent spot on the roster for a while. I think he's definitely above average. Chargers fans should be really happy with him. Whew. I think that's going to do it. This might be the longest video that we've put out in a while, but again, I get asked questions about this all the time. This is a very early look. We don't know who's going to be, dropped by that time. We don't know if any, additional names are going to hit the market, what trades are going to look like. Do the Chargers, go into the trading game in 2022? Absolutely possible. Lots of things to remain open here, but it's a fun conversation to have with names that we see on the market right now. The Chargers could certainly, target a lot of these guys to help, but I do think a lot more is coming by 2022 offseason that could help the Chargers. Additional names is what I'm trying to get at. So the Chargers, man, I think 2022 through 2025 is your Super Bowl window. We've got pretty much $80 million in cap space going into next year. It's time to go all in. And Chargers fans, I get the skepticism. I get the pessimism in the thought of us, really going in hard, with our cap space and signing a lot of guys. I understand it. But you also need to understand that the Chargers have not been in this situation for very many years where it's time to push your chips forward, where it's time to lay it all down, man. It's been a long time since we've had this kind of money, since we've had a rookie quarterback with this kind of talent, since we had a window like this for a Super Bowl. You got to take it. It's the formula in the modern NFL. When you got yourself a talented young rookie quarterback that's not taking up a lot of cap space, you got the kind of cap to work with him before the rookie gets his new contract extension, which is going to be very significant, by the way. You want to make a push while you can still afford to sign all these new guys, to really go all in and fill every position as much as you can in free agency. I believe this is the time for the Chargers. And again, uncharacteristic, but these opportunities do not come by often, and that's why it's been so long since the Chargers have decided to do anything close to this, okay? Well, guys, I hope you did enjoy this content. If you did, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. This has been The Director. And also, yeah, don't forget, list, in the comments section, if you could only choose one player from this list to add to the team, who would it be? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.